Escape of the Palisman was the mid-season finale for the Owl House, and since then we've been in hiatus. A long, slow, never-ending hiatus. But this episode was incredibly interesting because we got to learn more about Palismen, specifically Owlbert and the Bat Queen, the latter of which is revealed to have been a palisman for a grand staff belonging to a giant. This seems to be a plot thread that will be elaborated on in the future, especially since Luz offered to help the Bat Queen find her former owner. But the other interesting thing that we learned in this episode is that palismen are created, or at the very least, Owlbert was created by Ida. Now when the Bat Queen shows all of the palismen that have been discarded, they too appear to have injuries similar to Owlbert. So in general, palismen being created from wood seems to be accurate. But my questions here are how, when, and why did Ida create Owlbert? For the how, all we know is that Ida made him from the bark of an ancient tree. Not much to really go on, but considering that Ida did say in Witches Before Wizards that she'll give Luz a staff someday, perhaps we'll visit this tree if Luz creates her own palisman. For the when, there isn't a definitive answer. The two obviously seem close, Ida even saying that the two are bonded for life. So that would imply that they have at least spent several years together. The interesting thing that I want to point out here is that back in Witches Before Wizards, Ida says this.
Witches are awarded their staffs from school. With me as your teacher, you'll be taking a different approach. You'll have to work for it.
So witches receive their staff after completing school. However, in the following episode, Ida says this.
I didn't finish school and look at me. Who wouldn't envy where I am right now?
So Ida did not complete her school curriculum at Hexside, yet she still has a staff, meaning there is an alternative way to receive a staff. And since she offered to give Luz a staff one day, Ida knows how to obtain or create another. Now Hexside seems to be a high school, so grades 9 through 12 here in the US, meaning Ida would have been between the ages of 14 to 18 since we don't know exactly when Ida dropped out of school. So during this period of her life, Ida left Hexside and most likely discovered an alternative way to obtain a staff. It's also worth noting that Owlbert and Ida's staff seem to be pretty powerful and seen as above average compared to other staffs given to Willow and Gus's reactions.
Feel that power to weight ratio. Boys, prepare to fly.
Now, whether this method Ida discovered includes creating a palisman with the staff is up for interpretation. But considering that all palismen have an interlock to only fit on one staff, it's possible that the staff and palisman are created at the same time. However, based on the Bat Queen story and the broken and discarded palisman, it also seems that witches can replace their palisman at any given time. Lastly, the why. There is still a lot we don't know about palismen. Like, are they required in order for a staff to have magical power? The only two witches that we have seen in the show thus far who have staffs are Lilith and Ida, both having a bird motif. With Lilith, it's the white raven, with Ida, it's the owl. But it is confirmed from Willow in Escape of the Palisman that her parents have a staff as well. So we just have yet to see any other witches use a staff outside of Lilith and Ida. So we still don't know if palismen have any significance when it comes to the power of a staff. But my other question for why Ida created Owlbert is why an owl? Now we know that Ida was cursed when she was younger, but we have no idea how young. When looking at her student record at the end of Something Ventured, Someone Framed, we see that she has orange hair, though her hairstyle is still the same as it is now. The thing that is missing most notably is her protruding fang, so this likely indicates that the fang is due to the curse. We also know that the curse has gradually worsened over time, so perhaps her fang had yet to develop at this point in Ida's life, but she was still cursed. Ida was also a part of the potions track, so perhaps she was looking to seek a cure on her own. We still don't know when Ida dropped out of school, but perhaps roughly around the same time her curse started worsening. And with Lilith leaning into her own bird motif of the white raven, Ida decided to lean into her motif of the owl. Thus, Owlbert was created. As I have stated many times in my Owl House videos, Ida is an incredibly mysterious character, and the topic of how, when, and why she made Owlbert and received a staff despite not completing school only adds to that. But I look forward to learning more about Ida and Owlbert's history, the Bat Queen and this mysterious giant, and palismen in general. Thank you so much for watching, I hope you have a fantastic day, and until next time guys, take care.